how to deal with a spouse with mental disorder or mental health issues. Many calls to our office are believed to be primary mental health. It is very, very, very rare that we go out onto a case and it is a primary mental health disorder. There is always some element of substance use. And even when there's not, the behaviors are the same. You know, we have our 188-page addiction and mental health manual, and it is all about behaviors, and it is primarily addiction. And there was a time where when mental health disorders spiked after COVID, we thought about rewriting a second book from mental disorder primary and or incorporating more verbiage from mental disorder primary in the book. And it didn't take long to realize when my interventionist gave me feedback that we didn't have to do that, and here's why. All of the behaviors, whether it's a mental health disorder or an addiction, the families relate. We have gone out on pure mental health disorder interventions with no history of substance use and have gone through our addiction manual and they're like, oh my God, this is them. And it's because mental health disorders and substance use come from the same place. It comes from brain development. It comes from human suffering. It comes from traumas. It comes from a false perception. It comes from the inability to deal with, or depression, the inability to construct a future. At its core, both addiction and mental health come from a place where you have the inability to cope with life on life's terms. So how do you deal with a spouse who will not advocate for their own care? And what you're going to have to do, if you want to get ahead anyway, is learn how to hold boundaries and hold them accountable, because it's not about living with their destructive behavior. It's about helping them address that destructive behavior. And regardless of the illness, is it okay for somebody to do this to you? And, I have to bring in a personal story. And anybody that knows me knows I'm not a big, self-disclosure guy. My mother-in-law has stage 4 cancer. And she's still alive at the shooting of this video, and she would call my wife and she would just take my wife's head off every single day. And finally my wife says, Mom, I know you're scared and I know you have cancer, and that does not give you the right to treat me the way that you are. Do not call me again until you learn how to talk to me with some respect. And she hung up on her. I have not heard one phone call since that day where that woman was not talking about unicorns and rainbows on those phone calls with her daughter, my wife. And the reason I use that analogy is whether it's cancer, mental health, or addiction, the person's problem does not give them the right to treat you the way that they are, and you have the right to do something differently about it. No matter what the illness is, you are a voluntary hostage in the way that you feel or let this continue. And yes, I'm empathetic to medical issues and mental disorders and addiction. I truly am. And at the end of the day, that does not give the person a right to treat you the way that you've been treated and they'll make you feel the way that you feel. Now, granted, nobody has the power to make you feel a certain way. Easier said than done, but they truly don't. So how do you deal with somebody in your family, a loved one, a spouse that has a mental disorder? You need a professional to get you through that. And there has to be some advocacy for their own care. They can't weaponize their feelings and hurt you in the process so that you feel the way that they feel. So addiction, mental health, medical issue, you can do things differently to hold them accountable and set boundaries. And you can address why it is you're staying in this relationship in the capacity that you are. And you could do something different that just may help them address their problem.